Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Habs Tonight pregame show. We got the Blue Jackets. We got the Canadiens. Once again, biggest game of the year, ladies and gentlemen. We got Pierre Maguire. We got Kyle Bukauskas tonight. Producer Shane is back. Brandon Legacy's here. And yours truly, Drew Deeks. Getting ready. Let's do this, guys. Three minutes away. We'll see you in a few.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now. Got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
You're watching Habs Tonight, powered by Sick Media, the sickest Montreal Canadiens pregame show. It's gonna be sick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Habs Tonight pregame show. We are fired up. We are excited. Producer Shane is back. First of all, welcome back, sir. We are going to show some fun stuff from the game the other night that you were at. And
Correct.
Brandon Legacy, of course, with us. Tonight's going to be a fun one, guys. My boy, Kyle Bukauskas, joining us at about 6:30 after Pierre Maguire. And before we jump ahead, guys, let's thank our sponsor for the show, Insta Customs. Habs Tonight pregame show is brought to you by them, the highest rated apparel print shop in Canada at 4.9 Google stars, specializing in direct-to-garment printing and embroidery, located just minutes away from the Bell Center on Rue Stanley in Montreal. Visit their website at instacustoms.com. And then cheapest t-shirts. Can't forget these guys. We love you, Nick. Cheapest rock bottom apparel, wholesale prices in all of Canada, 36 different clothing brands and over 600 different products. Order today, ship today, get it tomorrow. Why are you paying more for nothing? Visit cheapesttshirts.ca. Gentlemen, I'm fired up, if you can't tell. I'm excited.
As you should be. Man, we had quite the game on Tuesday, so hopefully, I mean, the boys are able to follow that up, but it's a big, important game standing-wise, of course. The Blue Jackets have risen up the standings and are now second in the Metropolitan. But you know what? Neither team has clinched yet. So it's go time tonight.
Absolutely. Actually, I want to get two things off my chest first. I got two mea culpas from last show. I listened back. I called Pierre Peter once by accident. Didn't even catch it, but I listened back. So, Pierre, I'm sorry. I know you're in the back here. We're going to get you out in a second. Other one, I said they were playing Tampa this weekend, obviously playing Nashville. So, Pierre corrected himself. He led from the front. We're all about accountability here. So, I am sorry. But we'll get going here. Yes, big game, Shane. I want to hear about your ruckus at the Bell Center on Tuesday. How was that?
Well, Brando, why don't I just let you listen to the Bell Center? How about that?
Getting
Boys,
the Dobie chance going.
This was after a save. This was after, just a save, just a regular save.
I remember that.
People want it. The city is buzzing. I haven't seen this since 2014. All right, I was there for the playoff run against Tampa, all that good stuff. This is on par. Like the people are all about this team, and the players are all about it as well. Oh man, what a show it was. I mean, we could dissect it all, but really we've got a game to preview tonight. One thing I'll say though, and this is one of my predictions, maybe not for tonight, but for the rest of the regular season, Zach Bolduc is going to break out very soon. From where I was sitting, he was very noticeable that game. Didn't get on the score sheet, but it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I'm very encouraged by what I saw, boys.
Yeah, if anything, he's bringing a physical element that you can't teach. I mean, you just can't. And that's the whole thing about when you're not getting on the scoreboard, when you're not able to contribute in the most obvious of ways, there's other ways you can. And that's this is ramping up for the playoffs when you're just hitting everything that moves. When you got the home ice advantage, you're feeding off that energy as the team is right now. Let's face it. I mean, they already are in playoff mode. Marty St. Louis is certainly in playoff mode.
Well, boy,
I mean, if his pregame presser this morning wasn't any proof, I don't know what is, boys, because Marty's fired up. Like, I think he's more fired up than we are. So I love it.
Hey, should we bring in Mr. Stanley Cup champion, Pierre Maguire, coming to us from Pittsburgh at the Mario Lemieux Fantasy Camp? Pierre, how are you?
Check mic 1 2.
Hey, Drew, I'm hearing you really well. I'm not hearing Shane and I'm not hearing Brandon, but I'm hearing you perfectly well, Drew.
Okay. Well, that's better than nothing, but we'll fix that. We'll fix that.
Maybe we tell Pierre to log off and come back on. That should fix the issue. Producer
Okay.
Shane,
It was great to see you though, Pierre.
do that.
In the meantime.
Well, like I said, I can still hear you. And I see the energy and the passion of Brandon and obviously of Shane. And I heard it in your voice right from the top of the show. So it's an exciting time for Montreal Canadiens fans. Obviously, the other night was a real good, I think, step for them again. Dobish obviously really endears himself to the fan base right now. I love how intense Marty St. Louis has been. So lots of good things going on around the organization.
I think what we're going to have to do, Pierre, real quick, is have you log out and log back in just so you can hear the other guys.
Confirm. I'll do it right now. Thank you.
We're off to a good start. Okay. Pierre Maguire, we'll be back in just a few
He
short
didn't hear
seconds.
my mea culpa. Oh, well.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to replay it for him after.
No, that's
we swear. We swear
good.
he said it. So accountability, folks. Accountability is everything. And I do feel like Marty St. Louis is ramping up his accountability. And I think the leash is about to get tighter if it's not already, guys. As you can see, Jaden Struble has been in game after game after game. Pierre is back. How's the audio?
Oh, I hear everybody now. It's good.
All right.
We're rolling. We're rolling. Pierre, how are you?
Excellent, Shane. Nice to have you back with us. I love the tape. I used to sit up top when I was a kid, but not in that building, in the old Forum. So it was pretty nice. Good souvenirs, good memories.
I bet. That's awesome. You missed something that Brando talked about before we brought you on. I'll let him do his mea culpa for the second time.
I had two mea culpas, Pierre. I listened to the show that we did. I called you Peter once last show by accident, by mistake. And then I also said they were playing Tampa Bay this weekend. They're playing Nashville. And I said that at the very start of us coming back, you showed some accountability and led from the front. So I had to do my mea culpa and apologize. So
I love that, man. Transparency matters so much in this business. Not enough people are transparent. I love being on with you guys. You're great teammates. So let's just keep bringing the heat. That's all I can say.
Absolutely.
Well spoken, like a true teammate, Pierre Maguire. Let me tell you right now. So we got the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight, Pierre. We can take a look at their lineup initially if you like here, guys. But I think it's going to be a different kind of game than we saw against Carolina the other night. Here we go. So we have the lineup here, and I do sense more desperation out of Columbus after missing the playoffs last year, of course, after kind of going through a bit of a retool of their own. And really, I expect a different, more difficult matchup. I know Montreal went down 2-0 against Carolina, but then they stormed back and just took over, Pierre. So what do you think we're going to see from the Jackets tonight?
Oh, they're going to come after you. There's no question. Rick Bowness knows this Montreal team from all his time, especially in the Eastern Conference, whether it was in Ottawa, whether it was in Boston, whether it was with the New York Islanders. Rick really understands the Eastern Conference really well. Former Montreal junior Canadian. His roommate was Mario Tremblay when he played for the Montreal Junior Canadiens. So he's pretty familiar with everything that goes on in Montreal. I would say the biggest thing is they're going to try to go after the Canadiens' defense. I would expect the Canadiens, though, will be trying to go after the Columbus defense. And if I were Montreal, I'd turn this game into a drag race and see who's faster. And if I were betting money, I'd say Montreal is faster than Columbus.
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you brought up Rick Bowness. What's your opinion on what has he done to this Columbus squad? Because I mean, Dean Evison did a great job with them last year, and then obviously things didn't go as well this year, and they brought in Rick Bowness, and the record with Rick at the helm now has been incredible. So what has he done to that team?
Makes it fun to go to the rink, not just for practice, for games, and guys are hanging around the rink a little bit more. He's created different roles. Boone Jenner's moved from the wing to center. I think that's been a big plus for them. You look at their depth down the middle. He's playing to that. Obviously, Fantilli's an important player. I've known Charlie Coyle since he played at Thayer Academy in Boston. Charlie's having an unbelievable season. Yeah. They got a lot of good stuff going on there. One of the only foibles I would say, Brando, that they made is trading away Chinakhov. I don't know what happened there with him and the team, but I can tell you right now, he's been like found money for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
He's been unreal.
And I would just tell you this right now. I think the biggest thing of all for Columbus is they have an identity as a group now. They play hard, they play in your face, and we all know Zach Werenski is one of the top defensemen in the league, so they get a lot of offense from the defense.
Absolutely. And Pierre, I mean, Columbus did not sit idle at the trade deadline, and prior to that, they made a few acquisitions. They brought in Mason Marchment and Connor Garland.
Yep.
What can you say about those two guys and how the Canadiens can contain them as best they can?
Connor Garland's a way underrated player. I know his numbers in Vancouver weren't very good. He got kind of caught in a tough situation because the guy that spoke on his behalf, his godfather there, was Rick Tocchet. Rick had him in Arizona, and then when Rick got fired, it kind of went downhill for Connor pretty quick. That happens from time to time in city to city in the National Hockey League. In terms of Mason Marchment, I've always been a fan. I had the honor to coach his late father, Brian, in Hartford. I testified in an arbitration hearing involving Brian, so I know the family, and I obviously respect the kid a ton. I think I don't know why he's moved to so many different teams, but he's a good physical scoring winger. His board play is outstanding. He might not be the fastest guy, but he's a good player. And I just think for whatever reason, Rick Bowness likes players like that. You know, I used to work with Rick in Ottawa a long time ago. I coached against him a lot in the first 2 years Ottawa was in the league. I was in Hartford. He was in Ottawa. So I kind of know Rick really well. And I can just say one more thing. In the 92 Eastern Conference Final, Rick was a coach in Boston. I was a coach in Pittsburgh. So, again, a lot of familiarity with the way Rick coaches.
Mm-hmm. Pierre, what do you make of the notion that some feel, maybe it's pundits or whoever, it's fans, maybe people right in the game itself, that, the recycling of coaches and GMs, it doesn't always seem to work. And some coaches eventually make their way out and they can't find employment again. But what was it about Rick that sort of attracted Columbus in, kind of like you're alluding to here? He's obviously got a lot of elements that guys are still responding to out there.
You know what, Drew? I think the biggest thing is they wanted to make their clubhouse or their dressing room fun again. And Dean Evison, by the way, is a friend, somebody I really admire. I've known him a very long time. He's high strung. He's wound tight. And I think the players were feeling that. That's not a knock on his coaching ability. I think it was just one of those things where he felt a lot of internal pressure. He was passing that pressure on to the players. Rick comes in. He's playing with house money. Donnie Woodell picked him, told him to come in and make it fun. He's made it fun, and the players are having a blast. Rick doesn't need this job. That's why I think he's having so much fun. You know, he's been coaching the NHL for 5 decades. So he comes in there just relaxed and saying, hey, this is like a new opportunity for me, and I'm going to have a ton of fun doing it.
And the one thing, too, that you guys alluded to was the fact that Columbus and Carolina are kind of similar with the getting the pucks in deep on the D. So what's one thing Montreal could have learned from the game on Tuesday night that they can carry into tonight, facing a team that's going to forecheck them similarly?
What an awesome question. I think the biggest thing is just making sure you spend more time in the opposition zone than in your own zone. Montreal, especially in the first period, had a tough time dealing with that. And then in the second, I thought Montreal really started to take charge. That 5-on-3 power play for them at the start of the second period really helped generate some enthusiasm, momentum for Montreal. And their second period, I thought, was great. And they got to build off that. They got to make sure they spend more time in the attacking zone. Columbus, I would be pushing the pace on them. And I'm not saying they got a bad defense, but I think they got a suspect defense, and I would push the pace on them.
Guys, the trending topic of the day is Martin St. Louis, and Deeks alluded to it in the beginning of the show. I don't know, Pierre, did you hear what Marty had to say? Okay, so for those who didn't, maybe criticized a little bit the Montreal media and said, can someone ask me a good question, please? Basically referring to the fact that they were asking about lineup adjustments tonight. And he said, I'm not revealing anything because we're in playoff mode. I mean, how can we perceive this? Because on one end, we are a part of the media, right? So we kind of want to defend our brethren, but Martin does kind of have a point that he already mentioned. Don't ask me about the lineup. I'm not going to give you anything. And they keep asking him. So, Pierre, what do you think about this whole thing?
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's a cat and mouse game. Everybody's got their own thing. I remember the days when Jacques Lemieux, I was coaching the league. Jacques Lemieux wouldn't talk to the media on game day, so that I mean, he's not the first coach that's been a curmudgeon. He won't be the last. I bet you I was a little bit like that too. He learned from John Tortorella. Torch isn't exact. If you want a good Torch story, I'll give you a good Torch story. I'm working for NBC. It's a 12 o'clock start at Madison Square Garden, Philadelphia versus the Rangers. And I go on his bench to interview him. And he goes, I'm not doing the interview. And we always taped it after the second TV timeout. So I get, you are doing the interview. And we had a bunch of stuff over the course of our coaching careers. Respect, yes. Anger and animosity, 100%. So he looked at me and he goes, I'm not doing it. And I said, you are doing it. And I raised my voice. And the guys in the truck are like, just let it go. I said, no, I'm not letting it go. And John eventually did it. And one of the things I said to him was, you know all that money you're making? And I don't know how much you're making, but I know you're making a lot. A lot of it comes from TV. So you button up and just do the interview. And he did. I respect him for that.
Can you imagine looking over just Pierre and Torch going at it on the bench? Like a Josh Anderson,
I would pay for
Wilson.
that. I would
Gloves
pay for
off,
that.
man. Come on.
I respect Torch a lot. He's recognized that, you know what? We are on national TV. We got to do it. I don't think his answers were glowing, but at least he did it. At least he did it.
He did a little Brad Marchand, which did it to our next guest, actually, Kyle Bukauskas, and actually did it to all the media a few years ago after the Bruins beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in 2019. Brad Marchand was one-word answers for everybody. So it wasn't just that one guy got it. Everybody did. And he had some fun with it, I think, anyways, we've forgiven Brad and so has Kyle. They've all moved. We've all moved on from that. But you talk about accountability, Pierre, that's next level with Torts. You must have some good respect from that man. So
I've always liked John. We've had some battles when we were coaching against one another, especially the Hartford.
Tech issue. Hold that thought, Pierre.
Blame it on Pittsburgh. Blame it on
There we
Pittsburgh.
go.
Okay, we'll try to get Pierre back in the meantime.
I'm just glad he got that story in. Can I just say that? Like
that story was
if that was the last thing Pierre told us tonight, we're not disappointed. Okay, I just want to say that. But
that was awesome. No, I loved
What a
his
story.
point. Yeah. What do you guys think about the Martin St. Louis situation?
I mean, I don't mind it because at the end of the day, you don't really change a winning lineup, so you can kind of infer that the lineup's staying the same.
Mhm.
You could make an argument with Dobish facing so many shots. Maybe they go back to Fowler because there's a back-to-back this weekend. I'm of the opinion you ride a hot goalie until he goes away, but you don't change a winning lineup, so I'm not really surprised. And when he told you 2 days ago he's not talking about it, just don't fucking ask him.
It's that simple. It really
Yeah.
is. But hey, fair enough. Pierre, we're back.
I
We
know
got
we're
you.
back, and I apologize. Technology's great. I'm proud to be here in Pittsburgh with my old group, but something's going on. So let's just try to get this done.
I think I heard a
airwaves
goal
are-
horn. I could be
You
wrong.
do hear a goal horn.
Okay.
You'd be correct.
Well, we'll have to talk to Mario and see what we can work out for the Wi-Fi over there. It's no problem. We won't blame 66 on this one. Okay.
No.
All right.
Hey, just so you guys know, what he does for cancer research here in the city of Pittsburgh in Western Pennsylvania, it's insane. Like,
Yeah.
he's an amazing man. Like, you guys know him as a player. I know him as a friend and as a former player that I worked with. I'm just telling you, as a human being, he's at another level. He's at a completely other level. He's phenomenal. He really is.
Pierre, I have to vouch for him too, because our mayor here in Niagara Falls also fought the same cancer that Mario beat and also beat it. And Mario, I actually interviewed my mayor about this here in the Falls, and first class, he sent our mayor an autographed picture of Mario hoisting the Stanley Cup, wishing him well, sending encouragement. That I can vouch for just from speaking to our mayor here in Niagara Falls. So yeah, Mario is, you might not see him in the public eye all the time. That doesn't mean he's not doing great things. So yes.
Yeah, great. Well said. Way to go. I mean, Drew's nailed it. I got to think Frankie Pietrangelo was involved in something to get that done for Mario.
I don't think
Frankie's
that
a native
contact-
son of Niagara
Yeah.
Falls, so I got to think old Frankie was involved with that.
100%. Yeah, 100%. He's a Niagara Falls native, that's for sure. So we've had plenty of conversations with them over the years. But anyway, no, I just wanted to put that out there that it's true what 66 has done off the ice as well. So it's certainly appreciated. Just shifting gears, guys, to the Canadiens lineup tonight, which we don't have. But in terms of what we're seeing from some of these players, guys, Pierre, you mentioned it last show. You know, we had a clip that did pretty well just speaking about Slavkovsky, Suzuki, Caulfield. But what we did get also in the previous game against the Hurricanes was secondary scoring actually opened for the Canadiens in terms of their first goal, a shot from Jaden Struble, tipped by Oliver Kapanen. How important, how essential was that to get secondary scoring? We've talked about how much the Canadiens need it.
Gigantic. You know, Drew, it's really important for all teams to get secondary scoring. The teams that don't get it, they're usually playing golf once the season's over. They don't even get to the playoffs. So secondary scoring is really huge. The fact that Jake Evans is starting to go, the fact that Oliver Kapanen's starting to go, the fact that we're seeing Nurk start to go, obviously Demi Doff the other night with a huge play. It's really good. It's great for the organization. There's got to be more guys involved. And the most positive thing, and I don't know how Brandon feels about this or Shane does, Drew, but I'll tell you this. When they're winning games and they're not getting points from Lane Hudson, that's a really good thing. It's not a bad thing. That's actually a really good thing. So I'm kind of encouraged by that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if I would have told you the Habs got 12 goals and Hudson didn't get any points, you'd probably think I was crazy.
I would. 100%
Yeah.
I would. No, and I know you're not crazy, but I would definitely think you were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, one thing I'd like to touch on quickly is the Habs' ability to close out games, because it's been an issue all season long. They've blown leads late in the third, and they've lost big points because of it. And against Carolina, they were up 4-2. Okay, 2-goal league, fairly comfortable. But again, Carolina pulls the goalie, and they have the firepower to get back in it. But I thought the Habs did a really, really good job at closing out that game. Pierre, what did you see that they maybe did differently this time around to end up getting the 2 points?
They dominated faceoffs. especially at the end of the game. Like, think about it. How many faceoffs were in their own zone? They had a righty and a lefty ready to go. You know, you got Suzuki, you got Deneau, you can throw Jake Evans, you got righty, lefty covered. So they were really smart with that. That's a big part of defending any lead. It's not talked about enough by the people that are pundits or the people that are doing color commentary or people that are working on the sidelines of these games. Face-off numbers matter so much the entire game, but in particular, and it was so interesting. We were talking about this the other night here at the camp with Brian Trottier, one of the best face-off men of all time. And really, we would, as an organization here, when we were winning in Pittsburgh, the last 7 to 10 minutes, face-off time was money time. And we talked about it a lot, you know, whether it was Randy Gillen, whether it was Ronnie Francis, whether it was Brian Trottier, whether it was Mario Lemieux, whether it was Yuri Herdina. We used to talk about those last 7 to 10 minutes being money time. And money time is face-off time. And when you win a lot of face-offs, you can kill the clock pretty quick.
Yeah. Good point.
Looks like they worked on the 6-on-5 in practice right on time, because they showed us on Monday a highlight from Canadiens practice where Marty was specifically working on 6-on-5.
Yeah.
I think it was 3-on-3 a little bit, but that paid dividends at the right time when you just can't afford to give up points.
Great point. Absolutely true.
Okay, well, we got a couple more minutes left with Pierre, or do we want to let him go a bit early? It's up to you, Shaner. Producer Shane, no pressure.
Producer Shane, well, I could keep Pierre on for hours, but I know he's got to go. One last thing for Pierre. We mentioned him briefly, okay, but Zach Werenski is on another planet. He's second in scoring for defensemen this season, and he hurt the Habs in their last matchup. He had 2 points against them. What can they do to contain him? Because I remember last time the Habs played against Columbus, they let him walk in all alone and snipe one in. So, you know, maybe don't do that tonight.
No, you got, and I don't know how much these kids would even remember this, but to me, Raymond Bourque and Brian Leetch were two of the most dominant defensemen that played in the National Hockey League in my vintage. So from, let's say, 1988 to 2005, let's just say. And I know every team I ever coached, both those guys got the business. It wasn't a lot of fun to play against our team. And in fact, their team used to call us, me in Pittsburgh, Mr. Subliminal, because what I would do is after every coaching point, I'd say, you know, don't forget to hit Raymond Bourque, or don't forget to hit Brian Leetch, and do that every game. And those poor guys, like, I respect both of them so much. I had a chance to work with them at all-star games and coach against them in the playoffs. I would hate me if I were them, because our players were amazing at following the rules. And that, I would do the same thing to Werenski. Like, I'm telling you, and that's a sign of respect. But my guys would know, like, you're within a stick length of him, you're finishing every hit. You know, you're within a stick length of him and you see his hands, you give a little chop on his hands. Like, it's not dirty, but it's a sign of respect. That's how good this guy is right now. He gets the Leetch Bourque treatment.
Yeah, he really is. He's insane. Love that player. Deeks, that's all I got.
That's it. Pierre has been in and out 3 or 4 times already, so I don't want to put the pressure. So with that, my friend, thank you, Pierre, of course, making this work any way you can, anywhere you can. So
yep. So
we
Saturday, I guess, is our next gig, right, men? Saturday?
Yeah. Correct.
That is it.
Predators.
I will be in my home office ready to rock.
Phenomenal.
All right. Back into the shorts, not into this
Thanks
winter
a lot,
stuff.
gentlemen. You guys are so great to work with. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierre.
Thanks,
there
Pierre.
he goes.
The feeling is somewhat mutual.
Pierre
I'm kidding. Pierre lets us chirp him. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Everyone calm down. But thankfully Shane's at master control. Otherwise I might get a note from our owners. So, okay. Well, we'll give it a couple of moments here before our next guest joins us from Sportsnet and the 32 Thoughts podcast, Kyle Bukauskas. So, gentlemen, before we do that, Kyle's not in studio yet, by the way, is he? Just in case.
He is.
He is in studio. Of course he's early. Of course he's early. Why am I not surprised? Well, you know what? The heck with it. Let's actually bring him into this conversation because
let's do it.
I want to get his opinion on this matter as well. There he is. Kyle.
What's up, boys?
Bukauskas, ladies and gentlemen.
Good to see you, Kyle.
How are you doing? Look at this.
Excellent.
We all got matching hats now. Moving on up.
I was gonna go hair, and then I'm like, I gotta let the guy with the hair go hair. So
that's why I put a hat on too.
And I know it. I would have happily put a hat on. It's way easier.
Never do that. Never do that.
I do it as much as I can.
Kyle, every time I had you on, you had your cap on, and then I had comments like, "Can we see the hair, please?" Like we tuned in.
Right. Yes.
Like so.
Don't care for what he's talking about, but if the hair is out, then it's somewhat tolerable. I know. I apologize, but I have it going. Yeah, on display today. So.
Well, Kyle, you have a fan who already misses you doing Montreal games, so just
Dave
to put
loves
that
it.
out there.
Dave loves it.
But your family does come first.
Thanks very much, Dave. Yeah, you know what? It's I mean, I'd been in Ottawa for a number of years. I only lived in Montreal for 2, and the one season that was the last year that Sportsnet had the regional deal with the Canadiens, and man, that was such a blast. It was such a good crew to work for. Obviously, the team did well in the regular season. Of course, went out in the first round in New York that year, but I loved it there. Like it was truly. I remember like in the moment, and then also in the years following, it was like, enjoy and take real appreciation and gratitude for the fact that like doing how many games that I did in the Bell Center just that year alone, but also seeing like Carey Price was still in his peak then. It was a real treat. So any chance I get to get back there, who knows what happens this spring and how playoff assignments are doled out. But yeah, would not be upset in the least, would be thrilled to spend some time out there yet this season.
Well, you've seen it at the best of times, and that was your first. I think that was the year that I actually spoke with you for the first time. I caught you right in the middle of covering the Canadiens as your everyday gig, which was pretty cool. So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and now look at us all these years later.
We've grown up a little bit. Some of us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take too much credit for growing up. Never.
No, never lose your youth. That's the Ron McLean line, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
That's we will take advice from that guy for sure. Okay, so Kyle, in terms of this game tonight, just I know how you don't get to see these teams as much, maybe specifically the Canadiens, but in terms of the way this playoff is shaking out for you, I mean, no Leafs, no Panthers, like this is weird this year, man. So like, what's your vibe on just the way it's shaking out right now? It's tight.
Yeah, it feels like right now, I mean, unless you're the Hurricanes or the Lightning or the Sabres in the East, I mean, look, we're 3 weeks left in the regular season here going into action tonight. And if you have, I don't even know if it's a bad week, if you have a bad 2 games, like suddenly, if you were feeling good at all about where you were sitting, it can all change. Like you think about all the goodwill that a team, these 2 teams alone, like Columbus, the run that they've been on since the coaching change, and Montreal, other than the little hiccup in November this year, and yet still, like you've got teams breathing down their neck. Like I just refresh my mind of kind of where the standings are at before I came on with you guys, and seeing Ottawa suddenly 3 points back in Montreal. I know the Canadiens have a couple games in hand, but just the fact that they're even that close again. It's incredible to just where not only just the division within the Atlantic, the amount of teams in the mix, but the East in general for those that have kind of stayed in this race, because there was feeling certainly going into the Olympics that you thought, okay, coming out, some teams are going to go right off of a cliff, and just whether they had guys that were over there at the Olympics, but the truncated nature of the schedule catching up with everybody. Teams are going to eventually die out. And I mean, we saw, I guess a team like Toronto, for example, they were still not in a great spot coming out of the Olympics, but it was like, well, if they got hot, maybe they could kind of had a chance of getting in. Of course, that didn't happen. But for everyone that was kind of in the race, they've all stayed in it by and large. Now, even, Philly's winning games again. I know Columbus got them the other night, but it's been really impressive. And you're waiting to see who's going to drop off, and still Detroit's wobbling a little bit. Pittsburgh's lost a couple. I know the Islanders had a bit of a wobble here over the last week, but everyone's still in the hunt here, and very much still alive. So that's what stands out to me is like, barring things going completely one-sided here over the next little bit, like game 80, game 81, game 82. It could matter in a number of different situations here, which is great for intrigue and makes it spectacular down the stretch, because it's been this way a lot of the season, as you guys well know. But you kind of thought at the time, all right, there's no way this can keep up. And here we are with 3 weeks left, and there's still so much to be decided.
Crazy stuff. Guys, we got to talk Jakub Dobeš. We've barely mentioned him on this show. He was the first star of the game on Tuesday against Carolina. Of course, 41 saves. That's a record for this season specifically. But not that long ago, we were talking about goaltending being this team's not even Achilles heel, like just a downright poo, right? It was not good. And now all of a sudden you got Jakub Dobeš who's rolling, and you can count on Jacob Fowler at the same time. Now, nothing confirmed, obviously, from Martin St. Louis, but it's going to be Dobeš in net tonight. What do we think of the decision? And I mean, the question begs to be asked now: is he the starter on night one of playoffs?
Yeah, to me, at right now, as we're sitting here today, yes. But as you know, like things can change, right? Like ask me again in 3 weeks, and we could all feel differently about it. But there's no question that he's earned the opportunity to start here again. And I know it was a heavy workload for him the other night against Carolina, and he was sensational. But I love the fact that he's going right back to him. And I've talked to him a couple of times. I don't profess to know him particularly well, but he certainly seems like the guy that's going, give me the start again. Like he's not searching for days off, particularly, in this situation where they're still every game you're trying to bank points here before you got that X next to your name. So I'm not surprised in the least. I think he's got all the hallmarks of being a goalie who loves to battle on the brightest of stages. And it's interesting. It's been a while since you've had two rookie goalies potentially. Assuming it's him and Fowler, and I know Montreal's still got to get to the playoffs, but they're on the right track. It's been a while since we had two rookie goalies on the same team going into the playoffs. I think Anaheim was the last team. John Gibson and Freddie Anderson were both rookies. So it's not something you see often. And when you look over the history of the Canadiens franchise, it's not completely unprecedented. There's been some notable names that have come along over the years as a young, unproven guy and thought, how are they going to do in the playoffs? And they do masterfully. So, what a great opportunity for those two. You wish Sam Montembeault all the best, and we'll see how that all plays out going forward. But right now, you've got to play the guys that you believe in. And for Marty and his staff, it's Dobeš, it's Jacob Fowler, and until proven otherwise, I think he's my guy. He's earned it to this stage.
That's fair.
And I got a question too, Kyle, just because we all know you work closely with Elliot Friedman. Were you surprised that Montreal didn't do anything at the deadline, or did you get any nuggets from Elliot that are like they might do something? Do you ask him sometimes, like, hey, give me one thing, please?
It's you know what, like we talk a lot about stuff, and there's lots of things that he hears that he'll share with me, but it's one of the, he just heard it, like he can't prove it, he doesn't know for certain, so that's why it's not out in the hockey world for everybody to see. So I won't share those ones out of respect for him. But there's no question they tried. There's no question they tried. And you heard as much from Kent afterwards saying, we were working on something pretty big and it just ultimately didn't come to fruition. So everyone's got their theories on what that move was, but I think it was something pretty substantial. And so, if it didn't happen then, okay, we'll see what happens in the off season. And I also cause I thought like my comparison, it was like for the wrestling fans out there, I thought Kent Hughes was kind of Randy Orton going into the deadline, right? Where he just can kind of stalk, you don't really see him. And then like the RKO out of nowhere, right? Because he had all the artillery to do so, right? From young players in the system, draft capital, right? Like he had the ability to do something like that and to shock all of us. Sounds like he tried. He really did. It just couldn't eventually get done before 3:00 Eastern hit. So it was not for a lack of effort. But I also don't like I do like that he did not just force the issue because he got, we're in a good spot and we've got to do something here because rarely does that lead to success.
Shout out legend killer. Sorry, go ahead, Shane.
I mean, to Kyle's point, we saw the Detroit Red Wings make pretty significant trade for Justin Falk, and then the New York Islanders made a pretty significant trade for Braden Shen. Both teams now sitting outside of a playoff spot. You know what I mean? So like, it sometimes it works, sometimes just holding off makes the most sense. I think that was spot on there. That's why he's on the show, guys.
Well, no. I mean, you see it over the years, and I still think like I love the fit of Braden Shen on Long Island, and I don't think for in the grand scheme of things that Justin Falk's hurt Detroit in any way. I think there's just been some other facers of obviously they missed Larkin for a while and Andrew Kopp, like two guys in the middle of the ice, and I think now you're just seeing a team that has faced some demons in the month of March here over the last couple of years. And it's like, oh man, is this really going to happen again? Where we're going to let a potential playoff drought come to an end, get in the way of kind of where we're at and not being able to get this thing back on the rails again. We'll see there in Detroit, but we see it every year, guys. Like there's big time deals at the deadline with marquee names and how often when the team that's hoisting the Stanley Cup at the end of the year, it's not always the sexiest names. Like I think of Washington in 2018, Michael Kempney on their blue line. Like I didn't get any headlines at the deadline, but like what an important piece he ended up being in their top four as they went on their 2-month journey. And then on the flip side of that, I think in Vegas getting Barbashev before the year that they won, like that was a little more of a sizable deal, but ended up being a great asset for them in their march to the Stanley Cup. So there's examples of going both ways. You just got to know in your room, is that going to be a move that is going to be accepted and embraced? Is the fit going to be right there? Because there's not a lot of runway, as we know. Like how quickly has time gone from when we were doing the moratorium after deadline day, and suddenly we're here. It's going to be April here pretty soon, and then the playoffs start. So you don't have a lot of racetrack to make the fit happen. So you really got to lean on your pro scouts. I think you got to lean on your leadership group. Imagine a lot of cases there's an element of trust there between the captains of the team and management and the coaching staff going, okay, this is kind of what we're looking at. How would we all feel about this, and make the best decisions from that point on.
Yep.
It's a fair point considering what we heard about Nick Suzuki going into Kent Hughes' office before the trade deadline last year and said, please don't get rid of anybody. Don't make any moves. And they stand pat again this year, Kyle. And it does seem like they got a good pulse on the room and what could work and what might not work. But in terms of the deal, like this is just a floater question in a sense, but Robert Thomas' name was out there quite a bit over the last little while. There's a no move clause in place. Do you think there's any potential that it was totally off the board what Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton were going to do? Because it just seems like they are not the kind of guys like all of a sudden just something drops and you never saw it coming. Could it have been bigger than Thomas?
I think it could have been. I think it could have been. But again, until but that's all. It's all hearsay, right?
Yes or no is fine.
Yeah. It could have been, which is like the ultimate non-answer, right? Like it could have been anything, right? It could even be a boat. But it's just like I think they tried to do something that would have been viewed as spectacular in terms of wow factor. Anyway, just didn't happen, and now we'll see. They've got their group now for the rest of this season, and we'll see what they kind of prioritize as they reassess in the off season. But it's also too like as we all know here. There's been some bodies that have been out for large stretches of the season that they got back, all that not too long ago. And to see a guy like Alex Newhook get more comfortable again and just options that they didn't have for large stretches of the season. I mean, there's something to be said for working those guys back into the lineup that, maybe there's juice with that, even if you didn't go out externally to find help too.
Mm-hmm.
We got a bit of a lineup update, Shane. I don't know if you got that. Texier out, Joe Veleno in.
Correct.
So
we don't know if Texier is injured or not, but it seems to be a healthy scratch.
All right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Especially for a guy like Veleno, who was more of a bubble guy all this season than now, has been going in and out of the lineup. But I imagine, again, the minutes that you do get, you got to take advantage of. I mean, it's got to be difficult for guys. I mean, Patrick Laine has been sitting in the rafters for how long now? We saw him having some fun in practice this morning, making some plays, having some fun. But you just imagine that whoever goes out there, I mean, this team is united. It does seem, Kyle, like the Canadiens are just on the same page and there's no more messing around. They know the margins are thin at this point.
Yeah. And especially, for guys playing lesser in the lineup, and especially for a guy like Joe Veleno, like, you've got a pretty good idea going in of how much ice you're going to see, and it's not going to be a ton. So I think the big thing for those guys, and Craig Simpson, who I work with, says it all the time, especially those first couple of shifts you get in a game, like it's basically, give the coach a reason to give you another one. You know what I mean? Like, don't get caught in your own zone. Just be able to provide some energy so that, when you're going over, or when you're on the ice, going through your shift, you're able to create some momentum. So when Suzuki and Caulfield or Slavkovsky's line, whoever is up next behind them, going, all right, let's follow this up. And then you're able to start to really generate some good flow to how you want to play. And if you're able to do that on your shifts, then the coach is more likely to give you a little more as the night unfolds, and maybe you get 1 or 2 extra minutes over the course of the whole night. I mean, it's a tough gig. I can only imagine how tough of a gig that is, being a fourth line type guy, someone that like Veleno, who's got skill, who's got some offensive side of him, but you're not going to get anywhere close to the same opportunities to let that show as maybe you did at other levels of your life. But you still got to find a way to be important and be someone that the coach is comfortable calling your number over again. And to your point, Andrew, like where things are at with Montreal as a unit, I think in a lot of cases they have been getting that. Like there's good depth up and down the lineup, just in terms of being able to, I don't know, maybe last game against Carolina wasn't the best example, because they certainly relied on Dobish a lot. We all know Carolina's a high volume team when it comes to shooting, as is. But I think for a whole team to be in a situation where, they've got the ability to get scoring from just a multitude of players. Like it's so cool to watch them right now. I can't think of another time, really, certainly since I've been, working in this business and really for, the majority of my life, a team like, we've seen some good Canadiens teams over the years for sure. But the way that they play, the electricity that comes with their style, this is a really special time here. So, not everybody's going to be able to be in the spotlight when it comes to that stuff. So, for a guy like Veleno or a Texier or, go down the list from there. I know Bolduc's had, some ebbs and flows to his year, finding ways to be important and still be impactful in some way within all of that. I think that's ultimately the key to the deal for longevity.
Yeah. Last one I got for you, Kyle. we spoke with Pierre earlier about closing out games and how it was an issue for the Habs for most part of the season, but not much has been said, in my opinion, about the start of the games, right? And we saw it against Carolina. The first period was not good. How can you begin to explain that factor, if it even is a factor?
It's a fascinating one where everyone talks about starting on time, having a good start. And yet, there's every night you can find an example of a team that doesn't do that. And I really lean on, obviously the perspective of ex-players or current players when it comes to that stuff. And, guys like Kevin Bieksa on our panel or Kelly Rudy, like they always talked about, as much as sometimes you'll hear after games coaches say, like that's on me, I didn't do a good enough job getting the players prepared to play. They always said that's BS, for lack of a better word. Like, it's not on the coach to make sure I'm ready to play right from the opening shift. Like, that's on me. I've got to make sure I do the work to make sure mentally, physically, my body's warm, legs are jumping. I'm ready to go right from the hop. That's nobody else's responsibility than myself. But I think it's just a phenomenon that forever exists, particularly in hockey for sure, that for one reason after another, sometimes it just, as much as you have the best intentions, it doesn't quite go that way. And so maybe it takes a few shifts for everybody to feel each other out. And, some of the things that, we see when Montreal is really connected, maybe there's just nights where, especially this is still relatively a very young team, the instinctiveness that we see come through when they're really going. Some nights it might not be there right away. And it takes a bit, later on in the game for, some of that stuff to become second nature again. And maybe that's just all part of the evolution of a young team going from good to great. The fact that, again, we've got a guy like Dobish or Jacob Fowler, that to be able to at least keep you in it. I know they were down 2 early against Carolina and had to battle back. You worry about, as much as it's great to say, look how many comeback wins, the Canadiens have this year. I know, like Anaheim out west, like they're the West version of that. Over the long term, you're like going, at some point, it's not going to be sustainable. So you get a little nervous about that as time goes on. But right now they've got such a belief that they're never out of a game. So if nothing else, you don't want them to lose that feeling.
Exactly. Good stuff.
In terms of my last one here, well, it's kind of sort of a last one, but we've already had you for 20. So we when Kyle and I get talking, and it just he's too generous, is what he's been over the years. But he's been supportive of this career over here with this kid. So with Elliot, when it comes to Elliot, I want to know this. I know he's a savage when it comes to being on the podcast with you on 32 Thoughts, and I just got to know, off camera, off audio, how much more of a savage is he to you, Kyle? I got to know, because there's
between me and him and Dom, we give it to each other about anything and everything. And to me, that's the sign of a team. That's the best stuff. It's not of course, it's never anything that crosses the line where you're trying to offend the guy. But I think all of us have thick skins where it would take a lot for Elliot or Dom to say something and you'd be like, hold on, that's crossing the line there. Don't say that about me. It's all pretty fair game. It's all in good fun. And I think that's like the best kind of, group that I love being a part of, because, we tease because we love, and you only really do that with people that you've got a great connection, great dynamic with, and then zoom out. It's no different, on the television side, and I don't see the studio crew rarely during the regular season, but the odd time when we're out on the road together for an event like last year at the Four Nations or the Stanley Cup final every June, getting the opportunity to do a couple of those now, and everyone's there together, it's no different, right? BX is the mastermind of all of that stuff. Nobody's as quick-witted as him. McLean's great, everybody, right? It's so much fun. Dave Amber is such a funny guy. I wish you would let that side of him come out more on TV. I know he's just the ultimate professional. But man, it's a lot of nobody's safe when it comes to that stuff, but it's all in the best and most humorous and loving way. It's really cool.
Well, I was going to ask you this as a final one, but I think it would take a while to go through it all. So maybe we could save it for another show, but you got to cover your first Olympics, Kyle, and I just imagined that was quite the honor. So I know from your Instagram post, that's exactly how you described it. A big highlight of your career. So if you have a second, I just thought that was pretty amazing to see you guys join forces, even with TSN. We saw Duffy and Elliot on the same panel. When do you see that? That was just really fun to see, Kyle.
Yeah, and that was all felt like, for the greater, that was the Olympic experience, even on the TV side, right? Think about on hockey, how many adversaries become teammates over those 2.5 weeks, and similar for our group at CBC. Not that we're adversaries, obviously we're competitors, but I think there's a great deal of respect with everybody, and it was cool. I of course, you knew that I knew James a little bit, know Mike Johnson a little bit, seen him at the rinks for all these years. Cheryl Pounder, I'd never worked with her before, hadn't worked with Cassie Campbell-Pascal in a number of years. So it was really sweet to just be part of that group. It was fantasy camp for me, honestly, when you're getting to work alongside some of those names. And yeah, it was a real treat. I lived at that rink for 2.5 weeks. I didn't see much else of Milan other than the Santa Giulia Arena and our hotel and this cafe I would walk to every morning after breakfast, because that was really all I had time to do, right? With 3 games a day, and the last one starting at 9-10 p.m. local time, you basically had enough time to go back to the hotel, sleep for 6-7 hours if you're lucky, get up, eat, shower, and back to the rink again. But I wouldn't have had it any other way. That's what we were there to do, or cover the hockey. And it was a really, really special highlight.
I had to bring it up. So thank you for squeezing in a few extra minutes with us here, man. And always good to catch up with you. And everyone knows the story. You're on the wall back here. I think it's right where my thumb is. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
At the KeyBank Center in Buffalo.
Yes.
But yeah, buddy, we always appreciate everything you've done for me personally, I say, but for Brandon, for Shane, don't want to speak for them, but we appreciate you taking the time with us, pal.
No, it's been great for all of you guys. Just seeing where it's all gone and the work you've all put into your own careers, and it all comes from clearly a love of the game and a passion for this. So congrats to all three and continued success here with this show and everything else you got going on.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay, take care, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
There he goes. The Kyle Bukauskas. Wow.
One of a kind.
Wow.
That's all I can say.
Incredible. Boys, we are 5 minutes away from, well, not really puck drop because we know the anthems and all of that stuff. But anyways, 5 minutes away from game time. Let's get to some final thoughts.
Yeah. We got to do predictions because we got roasted for not doing predictions all the time.
Yeah, I know. Someone's in the chat very mad, but
there's an account that's very on us about it. So
maybe he's banking on us to make some bets. I don't know. Like, oh, there we go. Now trending predictions.
There it is.
We're gonna get to those.
We even highlighted your comments.
Promised.
Don't say we don't love you. Who's gonna start? Like all of us at once here.
I'll go first.
Oh, Brando going first. There we go.
Are we doing like whatever we want, like final scores or
who's gonna score
thoughts,
first?
Whatever you think.
Can I take Can I take a Caulfield goal as a layup?
Yeah,
and then I will go. I think Jet Greaves is a good goalie. Let's go 5-3 Habs. Empty netter. I think it might be a little bit opened up. I'm curious how Dobas does with that workload from Tuesday. But hey, you never know. So I'm gonna go Caulfield goal, 5-3 Habs, empty netter.
Good stuff. All right. Final thoughts on my end. We got to go back to November 17th, guys, because that's the last time these two teams played. And Columbus won that one 4-3 in the shootouts. Like I mentioned, it was a weird night. The Habs actually dominated. Well, dominated is a big word. They played better than Columbus. They outshot them 32-23. But again, the defensive coverage was faulty that night. Hopefully it's not again tonight. I think the key to victory is containing Zach Werenski. I spoke with Pierre. To me, he scares me. I'll be honest. He scares me. And of course, using their speed, like Pierre mentioned, I think that was a really good point. Final score prediction, 3-2 Habs in overtime. Ooh. And I've got Mr. 93 to top it off. Okay. I'm not going 13.
I'm actually not going 13.
Game. I'm going 93. Boys, okay. Listen, the TV doesn't do him justice. You got to see him live in person. Deeks, I know we did. Okay. But you got to see him live in person. 93. Ivan Demidov is incredible. He is incredible. So he's getting the game winner, 3-2 overtime. Let's go.
Watching him bank the puck off the opposing guy's net.
Disgusting.
Like this is in like the prospect challenge we're talking about, but oh my gosh, he did it again the other night. He almost had that highlight reel goal before his actual goal. Just the way he was able to get the puck in and bank it off of I forget who on Carolina's skate it was, but yeah. And then he did some crazy board work. Miller. So yeah, just the magician at work, and I think he's finally just getting into a groove now where he can really start to use some of his talent and his gift, which only he has. So big praise coming from Eric Engels, by the way, on the Tony Marinaro show, which of course, don't forget, folks, to tune in while I'm saying it. Post game tonight, Tony Marinaro, Pierre Maguire, Brian Wild on the post game show. So before we get into our final predictions and final thoughts here, just want to mention that, of course, and I didn't mention it yet, but please hit like on this channel. Please hit subscribe, and we'll give you our predictions. Here we are. Yep, that's all the platforms we're on, folks. You can see them at the bottom of your screen. I'm gonna go. I just think that Dobish is doing a lot of work, but I do hope that they. I know Carolina's like analytics. We talked about them, and they just put a lot of pucks on net. But I think Columbus is going to come harder tonight. But I'm going to go 3-2 Habs. You said 3-2, didn't you, Shane? So I'm going to go 4-2. I'll go 4-2. I'm going to go Jake Evans gets on the board tonight, and that's going to be my final thoughts and predictions there.
Yeah, there we go.
Another pregame in the books, boys. Good stuff. Good stuff. That was awesome. Thank you, Pierre Maguire. Thank you, Kyle Bukauskas. Wow. We're rolling. Guys, we're rolling.
That was really nice. It's always good to catch up with the hair of all hair in hockey. So, and then Pierre Maguire is Pierre Maguire. So.
Someone in the chat said Pierre has such a big brain that it pushed all of his hair out. And I'm gonna use that. Like I'm gonna save that one. That's good.
Yeah, I was going to mention it, but I'm like, okay, I'm still getting to know Pierre. We'll kind of wait to see how much I can chirp him before.
Oh, he calls it follically challenged. That's his term for it. Follically challenged. He says that all the time on the eye test.
That's so good.
Great guy. Love him.
That's so good. Now Trending is thanking us for the show and the prediction. You are welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody. That's Tim. Tim is always commenting. We always appreciate you guys. Claire has been on every show. Dave, I know I'm missing some of you guys, but you're all commenting. You're all supporting. You're all interactive with this show, and we thank you for it. So, guys,
this chat was buzzing.
It was buzzing tonight. Yeah, absolutely, it was.
Hey,
and
we had over 1,000 people, all platforms combined,
amazing.
Watching us live. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, over 1,000. Got motion. Got motion right now. It's beautiful.
No, it's guys. We don't take it for granted. Like we said, we're going to be here every game, before every game, the rest of the way, and that's our commitment to you guys. So thank you for supporting that endeavor and bringing Habs Tonight back, ladies and gentlemen. We got more guests coming, don't you worry. We've got more shows, we got more games, we got more Habs wins, and we are looking forward to being with you every step of the way. Hit like, hit hype, hit subscribe. Be sure to tune into the Tony Marinara post-game show tonight. It's never a disappointing show, no matter what happens in the game. Shaner, Brando, thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you real soon. Go Habs, go, boys. Let's do this.
Let's go.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow Habs Tonight, powered by Sick Media on YouTube, X, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.